right, welcome to our eighth episode of the Excel Success Academy Parental Upgrade podcast. I am your host for this evening, Adrian Clement, Principal and Director at the Excel Success Academy. And I have joining me today for the first time a brand new parent, one of the hardworking, dedicated parents at our school, the Excel Success Academy, who will be co-hosting with me for today. And her name is Almatea Kamabach, and she would be joining us for this episode as we discuss our topic for today, the SEA results. What lessons can we learn from the SEA results 2025? So, Mateo, welcome to the Parental Upgrade podcast officially. Glad to have you. Want to share a few welcome remarks?
Thank you so much. A pleasant good evening. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I look forward to this interesting talk on today's episode.
Awesome. Really a pleasure having you today. And our goal really is to have a really open and eye-opening discussion as to how can we improve our students' performance and focus, within the school environment, and what tips can we extract? What can we deduce from the amazing results we got from the top 5 students at SEA this year in 2025? It was a great performance, Miss Almatea. We didn't have any students at our school this year set in SEA, but this year we definitely had an amazing 2024 to 2025 academic year with 100% of our students acing their final year exams, right, for our promotion term. And all of our students got A's and B's. You're looking at an 80% and over to 90. I think the student with the highest mark, I think that student got like 93 or 96% overall. And that was our A student, Taraji Roral, that did an outstanding job. And all other students, they scored between, I think the lowest mark we got was like 78 or 79%. Every other student scored above 80%. And that was just phenomenal, for really phenomenal performance we got this week. And we are so grateful that all the hard work from our staff and students, cooperating with our goals. We set very clear goals at the beginning of the term, where we said, this term I'm going to get my A. That was the hashtag Almatea for the entire term. Every morning at assembly, the students, after we say the opening prayer, we do the national anthem, and of course the Excel Success Pledge, which I will see if I can play that for you next time. Our students recited it at our achievement day. But every morning after the pledge, we have them say the hashtag, this term I'm gonna get my A. And believe it or not, many of our students, they'd never got an A before. Actually, all of our students never got an A before. And we told them, here's what, this term, we are going after that A. Last term, all of you got Bs. This term, we're going to take it to the next level. We are going after that A. And sure enough, we got students hitting that target after we would have worked with them and coached them and give them the guidance they need as teachers, as staff, to bring that A game for this year. And we had some students just missing that A by just literally 3 marks,
Mhm.
4 marks, and you know, but as you know, as parents always say, and as teachers, um, to us, you got that A. To
Yes,
us,
most definitely.
that was their best performance, and that
Yes,
deserves an A, right?
that's
And
correct.
so, Miss, Almatia, her son, Jay Sean, one of our secondary school students, he got the award for most disciplined student. How did you feel, Almatia, with
Oh
that
my God.
special award?
I think my tears said it so much, my emotions, and just seeing Jason, how he reacted, because
Mhm.
this is something Jason has always attained since from growing up in every school that he attended, always was most disciplined or the most well behaved student. And it
That's
all
right.
stems from home, the love and support that he gets from home, so it was no surprise, but it was just touching, with the words spoken by you. Everything was just so accurate and everything that you described Jason as. So kudos to Jason on that well deserved award.
Well deserved award. I fully agree.
Yes.
When
Yes.
there's a statement which says, "Give a jack his jacket." And when you
Correct.
have students like your son that walks in the footstep of his parents' training and discipline, I just one of the things I just admire about him is his level of maturity, you know, um, the way he
Yes.
approaches things, he's very front. If he said he don't understand something, you see, he don't understand it, and I
Yeah.
and I create that safe space in our classes where I tell students, hey, if you don't understand something, feel free to say you don't, because a student have
Yes.
not learned until, a teacher have not taught. That's one of the 7 rules of
Mhm.
teaching. It said a teacher have not taught until the student have learned, you know, and
Correct.
those basic
Correct.
principles, unfortunately, we don't see in mainstream teaching today. They just stick with
Yes.
a with a
Agree.
with a pace, go at a pace. But today we
Yes.
are going to take a look at how um, success on the national a national entrance exam, national secondary school entrance exam called SEA, has the results came out a week ago. All right, so a week ago now, and schools have their orientations for Form Ones, and but the excitement is still in the air. All right,
Yes.
and the government has released that list of over 200 names that did extremely well, but we are grateful for these top five, and there are some stories we can learn from these top five. Yes, Almatea?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
So we are
Yes.
going to start our presentation today
Mhm.
with looking at some of the articles that we saw. And these articles would have given us just some clear um, insights and backgrounds of these students, who they
Exactly.
are,
Mhm.
what sort of family they came out of, what are some things that they did as to achieve that goal. And our goal today is just to take a look at some of those insights, some of those remarks, um, and we want to learn. We want to learn from these young people. Yeah,
Yes, most definitely. Yes.
we definitely want to learn from them. So, Almatia, we looked at the very first student. Actually, sorry, there were 5 students. Let me start with all 5. There were 5 students did an exceptional performance this year. And one of the things that stood out from several sources is that one of the ratio of boys to girls that made the top 5 was 3 out of 5.
Wow.
3 boys, 2 girls.
Congrats.
And that shows that our boys did extremely well this year. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. That is something that we have been looking forward to because, I mean, from since growing up, the girls were always the one to achieve, and attain the highest marks when it came to exams on the whole. So this is a really positive turnaround in terms with boys. We know sometimes boys' attention span can be different compared to girls as well. So kudos to these boys and other boys who would have done exceptionally well in the SEA in 2025.
Yes, I think the boys deserve a standing ovation this year because
Yes.
you know how it usually goes. The girls normally outperform the boys, so they say.
Yeah.
And it's something that is worth the applause. It is worth the recognition to see that our boys this year actually outshine the girls. And I think this is to show that with the right support and with the right encouragement, our boys can achieve anything. I know you have your son Jay Sean is one of those who his self confidence have grown, recently.
Yes.
And can you just give the audience just some insight as to what are some of the things you are doing, or some of the things you have observed that have caused his personal confidence and self esteem, to go up an extra notch?
Well, Jishan was a product of bullying. He was a child who was bullied. And, the confidence, self-esteem was very, very low. So both his father and I, it was challenging. It was really, really challenging in terms of he would have suffered losses in terms of his grandmother, his uncle, and his grandfather back to back 2020, 2021, and 2022. So the lead up to SEA, it was really, really challenging when he was placed in a school that he was not, really happy with. And we as the parents, we had to take the initiative and do what was best for him. And just with, reminding him how intelligent he is, a school doesn't determine your future. It's all up to you. You have to believe in yourself. And we kept, just putting positivity into him. And with the right backing at Excel Success Academy as well, with persons like you and Miss Taylor. Oh my gosh, I can never thank you guys enough. You have just seen a whole 360 degrees turnaround in terms of his self-esteem and confidence, the way he looks at himself now. Even if somebody calls him something, he doesn't answer to that. So, just speaking positivity into him really, really made a tremendous difference.
And these are things that I'm so excited to hear most times when we hear the growth of students. It always has to do with a level of positive encouragement, someone or some activity, whether it's a hobby or a sport, something that helps that child refocus and regain that sense of value of self and gives them that motivation they need. So today, we are really thankful for you joining us and for sharing that with us and for working with us. That school parent partnership, I say, is always necessary for the success of the child. And we're going to see some of that actually in these 5 top students. So let's jump into this article and take a look at what we have seen this year. So there were 5 students.
Okay.
and they go by these students were that's Sanhea Maraj, Makede Government, Xavier Telesford, he was a private candidate, homeschool candidate. Then we have Nicholas Dully, Shogodas Government. Then we have Klesha Dial Singh. All right. And then we had she was from Exchange Presbyterian School, and Ashlyn Ramkisoon from Jordan Hill Presbyterian. All right, these were all the awardees with the highest marks, all right, of the SE exam. All right, so this was a phenomenal performance. Feel free to comment in the audience that are watching, both live and the replay. You can add your comments on what are some things you probably have learned that you would like to share with us. Feel free to share with us. You can send us emails at esaonlinesls@gmail.com. That's our official email address, esaonlinesls@gmail.com. Or you can shoot us a WhatsApp or Facebook comment. We're also on Instagram and on TikTok. All right, all social media platforms. You can see clips of the Parental Upgrade podcast. But if you want to see the entire episode, go straight to our YouTube channel under the Excel Success Academy title, and you would see a special folder, a playlist we call the Parental Upgrade podcast, and there you can see all the episodes recorded and listed for your viewing pleasure. All right. So, Almatia, we are back, and we want to take a closer look at these 5 top students and some lessons learned. So we're going to jump straight into this slide or presentation that I presented. I just quickly created today. All right. And so the first thing we're looking at is, 1 second. All right, so we're looking at these 2 students, the first 2. We have going by the name of Ashlyn Ramkisoon. All right, that's the student there, the girl on the left of the screen, and she attended Jordan Hill Presbyterian. By the way, we want to say congratulations to Jordan Hill Presbyterian School, to the teachers, and the principal, and all of the standard 4 students, that did exceptionally well. And, especially to Ashlyn Ramkisoon, that put her school on the national map. That is a job well done,
Well done.
And we are looking at some of the comments from this Newsday article, right? And then we have, that is pronounced Kailash.
Kyla.
From Exchange Presbyterian Primary School. Congratulations, Exchange Presbyterian. All right, you guys made the list. You made the national map of recognition. Congratulations to you guys on a phenomenal job preparing your Standard 5 students. That takes a lot of work as a teacher, I can tell you that. So let's look at this article. You want to read, Miss? I'm going to say Miss Cumberbatch, but you could go ahead and read.
No problem. Tial Singh was motivated by a strong desire to join his brother. Is that Prani at Naparima College, and now that exams are over, he's building a space game on Unity. He said, I really hope to see a real NASA spacecraft this summer, he added. Xavier Telesford, who passed for Queen's Royal College, said he was excited and proud. His biggest challenge was avoiding careless mistakes in English and creative writing. He stated, there's so little time and so much to write, he said. Practice helped. He likes watching television, playing games, and going outside. He hopes to become a footballer or musician. He stated, my parents kept me motivated, he added. His celebration plan is to visit family and play video games. Wow. Job well done.
Yes, indeed, a job well done. And we are seeing that a few things that we are able to immediately look at. We have a short list we want to briefly talk on today's podcast. But one of the things I've always I've said and endorsed is that it takes a community to raise a child.
Yes.
We look at these.
It does.
Yeah, we look at our students and their success, but what we don't see is the community of fans and supporters and encouragers and believers that believes in these children's potential, and that belief pulls that potential out. Is like a magnet. You know, when that child sees the right people, the right person, whether it's their parents or their teachers or their coaches or their uncles or their grandparents believing in them, that belief becomes a magnet that just magnetizes that child and makes them want to take on the world, you know?
Yes.
And I think that is the level of community that makes miracles happen, literally.
Yes.
That is the kind of community that makes miracles happen. And that is what we are trying to extract today. That's what we're trying to look at. What are some clues these children have left with us? So we are continuing to search deeper. And I'm going to go to the other part of this article. So we heard from Xavier Telesford. Xavier, I believe he was the private candidate, you know.
Yes.
And what stood out to you in this part of the article? We have a list, and we'll come to that list later on. But tell me, what is the first thing stood out to you based on his remarks here?
Yes. Well, as he stated, his biggest challenge was avoiding careless mistakes, right? And what can I say here? His parents was his motivation. And I believe that is why he excelled. Once you have that support system in your parents, because I always believe that charity begins at home. So with his parents being his biggest motivation, that alone was a positive for him. Yes. And that is something that a lot of children don't have today, you know, that parental support. You know, you just have parents who are just there, but are they really there? So the parental support is truly needed. If you want to see your child succeed, you have to really parent, you know? So that's a plus.
I think you hit the nail on the head. there, for want of a better term, where you said parents really have to parent. That's a powerful statement in and
Yes.
of itself you just made there. Because what you have today, and
Mm-hmm.
so many persons have said it, that parents are leaving the screens and the YouTube
Yes.
and the TikToks to parent
Yes.
our children and to teach them critical life lessons that only a
Yes.
parent really can teach them.
Mm-hmm. So, so true. Because you see basic thing as mannerism. Sometimes you ask yourself, a child walks into a room, no good morning, and it's like this wasn't taught at home. And these are things you're supposed to instill in your children. This is something that my children that have always been respectful to their elders, to persons of their age. And, as I said, parental support is so imperative. It is so important because we see, because of this, not being in the forefront, this is where
Mm-hmm.
society has broken down,
Has
you
broken
know?
down. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. This is where we are seeing the breaking down. And I honestly believe, I mean, when I looked at the article, it spoke about the percentages of students,
Mhm.
their success rate,
Yeah.
the success rate of the student. Of course, we celebrate the successes, but as any
Mm-hmm.
responsible administrator, or in this case, ministry, it
Mm-hmm.
is also important to look at where did we, the failure rate as well. Where can
Yes.
we improve? What can we do to improve the lack of performance from those that
Mm-hmm.
did not do well? All right,
Yeah.
and those are where it's in those reviews, and it's in those reviews we find the gaps. In the words of the minister, we can find the gaps that really would have
Mm-hmm.
aided and abetted in those particular students not
Yes.
hitting the target. Quite honestly, not
Yes.
hitting the targets that
Mm-hmm.
was really expected of each of those students. And I remember looking at some of those statistics, and it revealed a couple startling things.
Mm.
The first thing that stood out to me um, was that 2,000 other students who made um, under 30%.
Yes.
That is a concern. If it doesn't
Yes, it is.
concern other persons, I mean, it definitely concerned
Yes.
me, because
Mm-hmm.
according to the ministry, it says 11.6% scored under 30, which represents 2,082 students.
All right.
And while 66% scored 50% and above, and that 66% is good. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're looking at 2,000 students, which is 11%, scoring between 30 and under. But between 30 and 50%, notice they didn't give that percentage there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So we are looking at 66% who would have scored above 50, and 11% that scored below 30. If my math serves me correct, 11 and 66 is 77, right?
Yes.
And so we have a roughly about, and then those who scored above 90%, right, was about 2%. So that's 77
Wow.
and 2, all
Hmm.
right? That's 73%. So we know 73 minus 100%, we are looking at 27.
37. Yes.
27% of students
Hmm.
scored between 30% and 49%, because 50 is
Wow.
the pass mark, right?
Yes.
So if we add that 23%, right? No, that 27%, who scored between 49% and 30%. And the 30% and below students, which represents 11%, that's 11 plus that 27%. We are looking at that's
58%.
30, yeah,
8%. Yeah.
38% of students. 38, shy of 39 percent of students that scored below. And those students who scored below that 39% are those who would have been zoned, of course. Well, I'm looking at some of these social media remarks, and I'm seeing some students scored way above 80% and over and was still zoned. And we know
Yes.
that may be unfortunate, but being a teacher,
Yes.
I have a clear idea what may have caused that, and for those of you that may be looking on, to give you a very quick understanding of the placement, if you did not put the right blend of
Yes.
of percentile schools within your placement lineup, that a zoning could take place there where
Yes.
you score over 80%, even probably over 90%, and you still got zoned simply
Yeah.
because your choice of schools, your choice of schools was not you did was not what was the word? Your choice of schools did not had enough placements for the
Yes.
volume of students that would have passed for that school.
Yes. Yes.
And as you know, the ministry will give placements to the prestigious schools that your child may have wanted. They give that to the top, the first set of high performers. So if
Yes.
let's say, let's just call a random school, Naparima Boys. That's a board run school. That's a government assisted school, Presbyterian, right? They have the Concordat with 20% is allowed, right? And they could choose who they want and who they don't want, all right?
That's
But the
right.
ministry is allowed a certain percentage. Now, obviously, you can, that's the Form 1 alone could only hold in any school, I would say a maximum of probably 60 to 120, just on average. All right, a
Yes.
Form 1, the most a school could hold is about 3 Form 1s or 4 Form 1s for the larger prestigious schools.
Yes.
That's approximately 60 to 120 students. Now, let's get realistic.
Yes.
If a school could only hold a maximum of 120 students in any Form 1, what's going to happen to the
Yes.
rest who would have made the marks, but the space is already gone? That's where your second choice school comes in.
Right.
But if your second
Yes.
choice school is also a high notch government assisted school with a 20% you know metric in place.
Yes.
And again, another 10,000, let's be realistic. Let's say, 1,000 or 800 students would have applied for that school. That school could only take about, again, 120 students. So no, so if your first choice and your second choice were very high-end schools,
Yes.
and all your 4 schools was top-notch schools that don't have the space to take you, then you obviously will get zoned, even though you have 85%, 82%.
Yes.
All right, because a school could only take a certain amount. Now, if you do a good blend where you put in your first choice school, a school, prestigious school, your second choice, probably a second ranking or third ranking prestigious school, ain't gonna call no names. And then for your third and fourth choice, you put a very good quality public school. I can quote names now here. Well, at least in the north, you have schools like Tranquil, Woodbrook Secondary. These are very good school. Not Wood, yes, Woodbrook Secondary is a very good school. I shouldn't be calling no names, but I'm just saying as a reference. Those are good schools. But if you put a good blend, your choice, even if you don't make your first choice schools, you would have obviously made the marks for a good school, but not your first choice. But zoning
Yes.
is very possible because of the concordat that's in place. With that said,
Mhm.
with that said, we are looking at coming back to our observation. We are looking at approximately 29% of students that made under 50%, and that represents approximately um what that
Hmm.
approximately if 11, that's about a 6,000 students. That's about a 6,000 students, roughly 5 to 6,000 students, right?
Yes.
Just on rough average, right? Um, so we are looking at how do we then support those students, and we will discuss that at the next podcast, episode 8.
Yeah.
But we're going to look at what success would have, what sort of success tips we can draw from this. So we had this boy, Xavier. I'm gonna put a nice good picture of him because I know the Homeschool Association was very proud of this young man here,
Yes.
right? Very proud of this young man. Um, and there is Xavier. All right,
Mhm. Nice.
Xavier Telesford. All right, bright
Mm.
smile, bright mind.
Yes.
Right? And he passed for Queen's Royal College, and we started reading his article, or his remarks, where he said um,
Yes.
that he likes watching television, playing games, and going
Mm.
outside. Right? Um, he hopes to become a footballer or musician one day. Well, going KRC, he definitely become a footballer,
Yes.
right? He definitely will become a footballer there. All right. Um, But what I would have observed, he said, my parents keep me motivated.
Yes.
His celebration plans is to visit his family and play more video games. All right. So his family is what has been his backbone. And that kind of leads me to my very first point that Miss, there I go again, that that Almatia will have raised today. All right. That really and truly, our very first point is that children must have a strong support system.
Most
All right.
definitely.
They must have a strong support system. Success
Yeah.
doesn't just happen, it's the byproduct of a solid success culture. And we
Yes.
just pulled out a few points here. A support
Mm-hmm.
system is number one, right?
Yes.
Matia mentioned it as a parent, what she did just for her son and what caused him,
Mm-hmm.
her son especially. And we know how boys today, in today's culture,
Yeah.
is very competitive. And
Yes.
society could, in some cases, be very discriminatory in terms
Correct.
of how we handle our young boys and our young men.
Yes.
Society and culture, has certain stigmas that they are now banting around concerning our young men. If they are too loud or they are too assertive, they are seen as toxic.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or interpreted as aggressive. And in the same breath, the laws are very biased in many cases to protect
Yes.
what the law says is the vulnerable in society, and women
Mm-hmm.
and children falls under that category, so they tend to get more protection from law and from policies in society more than our boys, and our boys are being left exposed to the boys are being left exposed to the elements, as the proverbial elements of society, and they're not really being protected. you
Yes.
know. But when you have a good support system, as we are seeing here, we see the results as we are seeing in front of us, you know, um, like Xavier, that amazing performance there. And then Kailash or Kailish,
Yeah.
right?
Kailash.
Kailash, amazing performance from him. And then Nicholas Dolly. This is the sort of performance we can see in our boys once they have the right support system. And then
Yes.
we see here, he says that he loves playing video games. What I love about a comment that Kailash said was he plays chess. Let me see if I could find that article somewhere there. Right. He says that he plays chess.
Yes.
Right. And that is excellent. He plays Shark
Yes.
Puppet comics with his big brother. He plays Steel
Hmm.
Pan and video games and read famous
Yes.
five books. We are seeing where some of these successes coming from. It didn't
Correct.
just happen. These boys, the parents, let me put it directly, squarely on the parents. The parents are making sure that
Yes.
their kids are not just having meaningless, empty fun or entertainment. They are making sure
Yes.
they have the right balance of
Correct.
edutainment, I call it, educational
Yes.
entertainment, something we do here at the Excel Success Academy. We have something called mandatory fun time every morning before we close off assembly. And mandatory fun time is about ensuring every child, their sleepy brain is wakes up, and
Yeah.
their critical thinking brain, their productive, studious thinking brain is awakened. And we do that by
Mhm.
doing riddles and quizzes and puzzles, and trivia and on the spot quizzes and so many different game novelty sports, and we just do those things early, first thing, before class, so that we ensure every child is bright, alert, and their brain is ticking as they go
Yes.
into the classroom work. And this is the type of culture, success
Hmm.
culture, that keeps a child on the cutting edge. What are your thoughts, Almatia?
Yes, I agree with that because you know, in my younger days, with my father being a pan tuner, I would have learned pan at the age of 4. And with that discipline, it helped me immensely when it came to my academics. So
Mm-hmm.
I always believe in balance. I always made be karate, gymnastics. There should be a balance. There should be a balance. And this is where discipline comes into play. Discipline. So once you have that discipline, success is right there waiting.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. Success is there waiting. And I always say success comes to those who are ready for it.
Yes,
I
most
always say that
definitely.
success comes to those who are ready for it. Um, and then we continue to look at our list, right? And we are seeing that next on the list of success culture that we saw is self-belief and community belief.
Yes.
These kids had
Mhm.
clear goals, very clear goals. We saw it here by Mr. Dial Singh again. I remember,
I
I think
Yes.
he was mentioning his parents. My parents also encouraged me by working with me and giving me a break when I needed it.
Oh, yes. That is important. That is important. Your mental health is important.
Correct. That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct. And I must give kudos to the parents here, because this is the sort of environment that creates winners and champions.
Yes.
Right? Then we have Xavier saying, my parents keep me motivated.
Yes.
That's the parents' role, right? Keeping your child motivated. Right? I remember seeing a statement where I think it was Dolly, one of these students that made the point that it's like he knew he would have achieved his goal. It's just that he needed to pace himself, and he had to stay focused and consistent and motivated to achieve the goal, and that kind of leads me to my next point, which is goal setting, right? They had personal goals. You said it earlier, Ambatia, that parents have to parent. That means, what I interpret that statement to mean, we have to become more intentional and goal-oriented in developing our children. If I ask an average of 10 parents, what are your 3-year goal for your child? What is your 5-year goal or 10-year goal, which is your short-term, mid-term, long-term goals for your child? Can you show me on a piece of paper that you have written down these goals and that you are working towards achieving those goals at the end of those 3-year, 5-year, or 10-year period? Very few parents could actually boast and say, I have something written down in my diary of my goals for my child. Some may have it in their head, and that's good, close to their heart. But when you write something down, I heard, I think it was Bob Proctor who said, when you write something down, you give it permission to exist in reality.
Yes.
That very act of writing it, you just transferred it from thought, the invisible realm, to now the physical realm of time and space.
Yes.
And that becomes a reminder, a force that reminds you and keeps you focused on, hey, this is why I'm going to work every morning. This is why I'm going to a job that I don't like, to a boss I don't like, but to get a salary that I need to take care of my children and meet my goals. But this is all about, I want to be stand corrected. Some people are going to a job that they definitely love. All right. But I'm just sharing the overwhelming reality that some people are just doing a job to, get living expenses, to cover my living expenses. With that said, what are your thoughts on personal goals?
I think it's something you really, really have to set. I remember growing up, and when I was 6 years old, a friend of mine, I remember being 6 years old and telling him I wanted to be a police officer, and I made that dream a reality. And when he found out that I became a police officer, he was like, you remember when we were 6 years old, you told me that? I said, yes. And I stood by that. That was one of my dreams, and I made it a reality. Going into 22 years now, being a police officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. So yes, you set something and you put your mind to it, you work towards it. I worked really, really hard. I had a godfather who was also in the service. So, I was given pointers and tips on certain things, and I worked towards that goal. And here I am. So yes, you have to set goals. You have
to set goals. You certainly have to set goals. And I'm so glad you said that. That means you're a living example that goal setting works. Goal setting
surely does.
works. In other words, it gives your mind something to focus on. And I think as parents, we
Correct.
have to start intentionally guiding our children that way. You know, even if we start them off with a goal, and along the way, by the time they reach 15, 18, they want to change the goal in terms of they want to change their career field or their academic field, that's fine. They're allowed to change their mind at the age of reasoning and understanding and experience. But until they reach that point, as parents, we should be the guide.
Yes.
We should give them at least something to work towards, whether it's a career or it is an academic field or an academic study or even a business idea. All of that could work, but give them something to live up to. That's what goals does. And if they want to change their mind along the way, that's fine. At least they have a foundation that they can build upon.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are winding.
And when
go ahead.
And when like what the young man would have said with his parents motivated him. Sometimes children look at things that their parents may do. I had a small business at one time, and Jason saw that. And he wanted to open his own business, which I permitted him to do, where he will get a feel of how it feels to own a business. And it was a success. And he was just 12 years old at the time. So, when children see certain positive attributes of parents, it sets them into the right path.
Path.
Yeah. So it's needed. It's needed.
Definitely needed. Definitely needed. It's definitely needed.
Yes.
So we are looking at the next one, and it says a discipline of study-life balance. What are your thoughts on that one? A discipline.
Discipline is key.
Yes.
Discipline is key in anything that you set out to do. Anything. Discipline is needed. You can be motivated, but I think discipline is more imperative. Discipline is more imperative. Yes. Having that discipline to get up and say, listen, when it's 3:00, I am taking 2 hours to study before school starts. That is discipline. When you come from school, you give yourself a chance. If you say from 8 to 10, study, because why? You have a goal that you want to achieve. So the discipline is making sure that, listen, I get my studies in. So that is something that is very imperative when you want to achieve your goals. I believe in that.
Awesome. Awesome remarks. All right. So that was a very powerful point that you raised there. And we're just going to go for a short break, and we will be right back. All right, so stay tuned. All right. So welcome back.
Yes.
To this very enlightening and very critical conversation, because we are looking at SEA 2025. What lessons can we take away from the top 5 students that can help us prepare and create the right success culture in our homes for improvement or betterment or success of our own students. And so this is really our focus for this episode. And so continuing the conversation, we have just two more points that we noticed from the conversations and from the lessons we have seen from each of the students from these articles. And we're just looking at a couple Newsday and Excel articles, not Excel, Excel. Like I want to start on newspapers, Miss. Right. The Trinidad Guardian papers, along with the Newsday, shared some very important and powerful points coming out of the interviews with these students. Right. And we are looking at the tracking, should I say, the success culture that these kids grew up in, a home where parents created the right environment for success. And this is the result we are seeing today. This is the result. Yeah. And Altia, I don't know. So I'm sorry. Almatia, I'm so sorry of butchering your name. You know, we thank God that the Excel Success Academy is one love. You know, teachers and students and parents, work together toward the success. And that's the success culture at our school. I think that's one of our secret weapons. We have a very great relationship with our parents, and we all on one team. We all have one team, and we have one goal. We want to see our children win. We want to see them succeed. As I tell my students almost every day, not 1 cent will be wasted of your parents' hard-earned dollars in this school. You are going to perform. You are born for greatness, born with intelligence, and we will ensure that intelligence comes bursting forth every academic term. And I say that with no apologies. No apologies whatsoever. You know, so these group of students made not only a school proud, but they made their parents proud. And we just took this podcast really to recognize the hard work of the first school that would have programmed and encouraged these students to produce this level of public success, right? Which was all the result and the byproduct of the first school, which is the home and the family, and the first teacher, which was the parents, right? And that's why I thought it necessary for us to highlight the parenting achievements here in this Parental Upgrade podcast. So we have just one more actually. We're closing up the show with this one more success culture tip or strategy, whatever you want to call it. But it is a definite factor, and that is productive hobbies. Productive hobbies. We saw again the Alsing Kai, is it how that name just keep evading me? Kailisha? Kailash mentioned they played chess, you know. And Dolly mentioned, you know, he plays some other productive sports, you know. One mentioned steel pan, you know. These are the sports that really develops critical thinking skills. These are the sports that develop what you call holistic development sports, whether it's swimming or it's basketball or football, what we call the traditional sports. And then you have the elite sports, you know, like martial arts, you know, and gymnastics. you know, and volleyball and golf, you know. Then you have the cultural arts or even music. If you
Yes.
get your children involved in this mix, this healthy study, life balance, we call it work-life balance, but because these children are at school, we call it study-life balance. If we could
Yes.
get these disciplines inculcated, of a balanced life of study and play. I tell my
Yeah.
students, we work hard, which allows us to play hard. But you can't
Correct.
play hard and expecting to get any work done with work
Yes.
and playing together. My
Yes.
father always drilled that to me. Work and play do not mix. Either do it
Mm-hmm.
one or the other.
Yes.
You know? And this last one here, um, you said earlier that your father was a steel band tuner, you know.
Yes.
And how did that shape your passion and discipline of study? How did that discipline of playing pan transfer into your study life?
Well, having your father as your tutor, it wasn't an easy thing. He was always a disciplinarian. And he took his craft very seriously. So, with growing up in an environment like that, it came naturally.
Mm.
That discipline came naturally. I grew up with five, it was five of us, four other siblings. And we were well disciplined children. Our parents didn't have to get physical or anything of that sort. Once you get the eye, you already know what time it was. But it was a balance. It was always a balance, right? And with learning to play pan at the age of 4, I
Wow.
mean, I have no regrets. May he rest in peace. But it really helped me to focus on my academics. Music is something, it's not an easy thing. Not everybody is musically inclined. And I grew up in a musical family with Marshall Montano being my cousin as well. My brother was a drummer for many bands in Trinidad and Tobago, Renegade Steel Band, Cummins and the Wailers, Coalition in Barbados. So music is
Wow.
something that has been a part of my family. I was in the
Wow.
choirs when in school, also my daughter. So music was just something natural. And with seeing my dad tune pan, the discipline he had, he was the type, he had to get it correct. And seeing him tune a pan, and if it's giving him problems, listen, if he doesn't get it tonight, he's waking up by 6 a.m. the next morning and making sure that he gets that note right. So just seeing
Wow.
that brought that discipline into play,
Mm.
and it really helped me to achieve when it came to academics as well. So yes, I would advise parents to make sure it's the holistic approach is there,
Yes.
not just books. Must have a balance because it also plays a part on your mental health. That break is needed when studying. So let the child do something that they love, So it may be chess, may it be Scrabble, into Girl Guides, water polo, whatever it is. That balance, it helps. It really helps when it comes to your mental capacity because that is important. We see a breakdown with mental illness, plays a part. Young persons, suicide rate, all these different things with studying and all that. So the balance is important. It is important.
Mm-hmm. That balance is important. I remember one of these kids said that it was their parents that made sure they knew when to take breaks
Yes.
because it can be mentally strenuous
Yes.
to be studying. But I'm a math teacher, and I can tell you the mathematics curriculum alone is intensive, right?
Yes.
You have to pack approximately 13 or 15 curricular subjects, into that I would say 14 months.
Right.
If from standard 4, sorry, into SEA, you have roughly 12 to 14 months. before the exam
Mm.
to really get that child ready, even though
Yes.
from standard one they were doing certain foundational
Mhm.
work. But the concept, sometimes these kids take a while to understand the concept, and more importantly, to understand the why I must learn these topics, why I must learn fractions and decimals, and these things, and consumer arithmetic and direct proportion. They don't understand why, but I try to teach them at the academy. Mathematics is life. The
Yes.
moment you wake up to the moment you sleep, you do mathematics, you do calculations, you know, and communication, which is English language arts. It's
Yes.
communicating with people who you are. It's communicating in a world of networks and relationships that the minute you
Yes.
open your mouth, you tell the world who you are.
Yes.
So having to
So true.
master that craft of ink. That's why they call it an art, English language arts. It's an
And it's
art
arts.
form, the same way drama and drawing and painting are art forms. The art of English language, communication skills is an art form. And those that
Yes.
master the art, I remember, we just concluded our first cohort of our Maximize Impact coaching program. And I think your daughter was also one of our first graduates. And I remember telling
Yes.
them, there was an article I saw the other day where it was said that for any executive management um, um, profile, whether you are a CFO or a CEO,
Mhm.
or in whichever corporate management field, they were saying that the art of communication skills is
Yes.
what would open the door to establish that job promotion.
Correct.
Your ability to communicate not just yourself, but the
Yes.
interests, visions, and values of the company, which
Mm-hmm.
makes you a spokesman on behalf of that company. Because we know how executive management go. The higher you go, the more talking you
Yes.
do.
Correct.
That's it. You are more a spokesperson. You are more, from as you are in the service. So, as you go up the
Yes.
ranks, you are more a representation of the company,
Correct.
and people, your real leadership responsibility is the ability to execute and communicate commands and instructions effectively, for
Yes.
all those that are under your charge. you know
Correct.
you have to communicate that clearly and communicate the interests, the values, the goals, and the
Mm-hmm.
missions of the organization. And
Patience.
so
Mm-hmm.
children have to understand this from very tender age. Communication is vital
It is.
to your market value, you know,
Yes.
to your income, to your revenue. So it is so excellent. One of the things that came to mind when you were speaking about, seeing your dad um, develop that skill and that craft, and
Mm-hmm.
having the ability to learn that skill from four, and then having that inclination to music, to the musical arts, and seeing it, like a second nature to in different family members and cousins and so on. What came to mind is that, um, believe it or not, and this is from a child psychology perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that when people that have a productive hobby, one that
Mm-hmm.
is mentally stimulating and engaging, one that is emotionally uplifting, one that makes you feel proud of an accomplishment or a goal, whether it is fitness training or just jogging or running on an afternoon, or as you say, playing pan, the cultural arts,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yes.
know, whatever it is, those hobbies that really stimulates your sense of self-worth or your sense of
Yes.
accomplishment. That
Mm-hmm.
dopamine is released, that, hey, I
Yes.
am doing something positive, I'm doing something worthwhile, I'm doing something that makes me feel like I'm contributing to something bigger than I am. That becomes an
Yes.
even greater stress reliever
Most definitely.
from that heavy, intense academic strain or academic, program or routine that these children are on a daily basis, and once you're into essay, you the reality is that, I'm speaking from a teacher perspective, you will never be able to finish the curriculum subjects within a school 8 to 2 or 8 to 3, whatever time your school runs. You cannot fulfill that within that window, simply because you have other topics to teach.
Yes.
So every parent knows once you're going to step into standard 4, you have to do extra lessons. That is the buffers that really helps you covers what cannot be covered within the time window within the school.
Yes.
So it's very intense. I said that to say it's intense. But when you do these activities, I played pan at secondary school level, played for my school, Assam, played for Junior Panorama, shout out to my alma mater, Trinity College, Mocha, I tell you, those activities from steel pan, playing for the school, and then after school football, which was a routine. It was a great stress reliever that after school you have something to look forward to. You're not getting involved in nefarious activities, like some young people do to hustle election money on the side, whether they're selling marijuana on the side, or whatever you are doing to make extra money. But when you're doing something positive, it really gives you that extra boost and refreshing revitalization you need to go back into that intensive routine of academic studies. And that is what we're really trying to close up this program with today. Set the right balance of the success culture in your home. And parents, you would be the better for it. Your children will be the better for it. Our society and communities will be the better for it. And those are really my parting words, my closing words as we end this program today. Parents build the right success culture. I told my parents at our school at the Achievement Day, I said, don't tell a child, bring home an A, and you never achieve an A in life. Don't tell a child to finish some big goal and you never completed any of your major goals in life.
Never.
It's unfair. It's just impractical. And I simply charge my parents, here's what, you finish something that you started. It's okay to fail once, twice, 3 times. That's fine. But show your child that you are finishing something. And that would raise that child's ambition to go after big dreams and big goals in life, regardless of how many times they have failed at it. That is what that's the power we parents have when we do those things, when we finish what we started, when we fail and we dust off ourselves and we go at it again. We are teaching our children resilience. We are teaching our children determination and courage. And that is my parting words today on the Parental Upgrade podcast. Almaty, I hand over to you for your closing words to parents.
My words to parents is, parents, just basically be that parent. And we don't mean by tablet, be that child's parent. Listen to your children, their concerns, they have a voice. They have a voice. You can learn from them as well. We can learn from each other. So that is my closing remarks. Be that parent. Break any generational curses that they may have, but be that parent. We need it in society because we see the breakdown with parents not playing an imperative part in their child's life.
Awesome. I am so thankful today that you took time to be with us today. Your input, your perspectives was very, very, very thought-provoking. I thank you for giving that perspective, from a parent, and having a son. I don't know. I am very passionate about the sort of guidance and the sort of direction our young men are going in, because we are seeing, if we look at the murder rate up to today, I think over last weekend, there were 10 murders in one weekend. I'm wondering, where are we going as a country?
Yes.
What's
and
happening?
I can tell you, I can tell you from my job spec, it is very disheartening, because I work as a dispatcher at the E99 Command Center. And when you see reports coming in, and, it's very heartbreaking, because being a parent yourself,
Yes.
And when you see where society is going, all we can do is pray. All we can do is pray.
Mm-hmm. We really have to put some things, because I honestly believe some things are just not natural. It's not natural anymore.
I agree.
For you to think this pace of murders and homicides we are going at is natural, you must be sleeping on Pluto, or somewhere.
Agreed.
And so we are thankful for you, for your service. Thank you for your service, your sacrificial service every day. But I thank God even greater that because of the values and disciplines you are instilling in your son and your children, they are making you proud. So we look forward to having you at our next podcast within the next 2 weeks.
Definitely.
All right. Yes. Again, just encouraging everyone as part of the Parental Upgrade podcast family that we are on every first and third Sunday of the month, and if we don't post by that Sunday, we do our best to post by the Monday. All right. However, spread the word. If this content has been a very impacting and educational for you, we ask you to like, subscribe, and share right on the links below. All right. And click that notification bell so that the next time we post a video or we post, a clip, a YouTube short, or anything that is geared towards empowering and educating parents and teachers and students, you will get that notification coming up on your phone or on your device. So thank you again for coming this evening. We are so grateful for everyone taking the time to listen to this podcast. And we are asking you to share it with your family, friends, and students, all right, who are being part of this growing community of parents and students and educators alike. So thank you so much for being part of our episode today. Mattia, it's really been a pleasure chatting with you on this podcast. I pray you have an awesome week. All right. And thanks again for being
so much. You are most welcome. You are most welcome. Have a blessed week as well. Stay safe in everything.
So everyone, that's it from me. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.